at those bubbles. This bread is beautiful. Good morning and welcome back to the channel. My name is Lonnie. I thought today we would spend some time in the kitchen. We're gonna take a break from Christmas decorating and we're gonna make some focaccia bread. This one is a fun one to make and it's just a good bread recipe to have on hand. It's great to have around, especially when you're gonna have guests over, or just, you know, it's good to just have something to nibble on. It's versatile. You can make it a savory bread, you can make it a pizza bread, or a sweet cinnamon sugar kind of bread. But today we are going to make one that is more savory, but this is a fun one to make. So here we go. First you need 2 cups of warm water, and you don't want your water to be hotter than 115 degrees. We need 2 teaspoons of yeast. We need 2 teaspoons of salt and 1 teaspoon of olive oil. You want to stir this just to get everything incorporated and to dissolve the salt. And also, I like to let this sit for just a few minutes to make sure that my yeast is active. So after about 5 minutes, you'll see that it's kind of cloudy or pluming down in the liquid. That means that your yeast is active. So we'll wait just a few minutes and then we will continue with the flour. Okay, I can see that we have some yeast activity, so I'm going to go ahead and add the flour. For this recipe, I am going to use bread flour, but I'm pretty sure you can use any kind of flour that you like. I've made it with all-purpose flour before, and I've mixed bread flour with wheat flour. It's pretty versatile. It is a very easy recipe to follow. So for this recipe, you need 4 cups of flour. Okay, and then we just mix it up until everything is incorporated. This is not one that you can mix with your hands because it is a very high hydration dough and it is super sticky and you won't get anywhere with it. So mix it with a spoon or with a dough whisk. And you can see how sticky it is. Super sticky. All right, so your dough should look something like this. Very shaggy, very messy. And all you're gonna do is cover it with a towel and we're gonna wait 30 minutes and then we'll come back and do the next step. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes and let me show you what the dough looks like. Still looks pretty shaggy, but you can see it's kind of expanding a little bit. So now what we're gonna do, and we'll do this over the next 2 hours. So every 30 minutes, you're gonna do a stretch and pull. Since this is a really highly hydrated dough, it's very sticky. So you're gonna wanna wet your hand and you'll kind of grab underneath the dough. You'll pull it up and then fold it over itself. You'll turn the bowl a quarter of a turn, go under the dough, stretch over, and then fold it over itself. And you'll repeat that at least 4, maybe 5 times. And you can see that every time you do that, the dough it tightens up. So you'll see when you should be done. And you can also, maybe if you can see, we're starting to develop some gluten in there and we're starting to develop some bubbles. So now we just cover it back up and we wait another 30 minutes. Okay, it's been another 30 minutes So we're gonna uncover. You can see that it is continuing to rise up. We're gonna do another stretch and fold series. I wish you guys could smell this because it smells good already. All right, so wet your hand. You're gonna go underneath, stretch, and then fold it over itself. Turn your bowl, and you'll do that at least 4 times. The dough will let you know because it'll kind of seize up. As you can see how it's not wanting to stretch anymore. But really, that's it. So we'll cover it back up and we'll wait another 30 minutes. Okay, here we go. Number 3. You can see we're starting to develop some bubbles and it's rising. So again, wet your hand, get underneath the dough, stretch and fold. Stretch and fold. And last time, stretch and fold. It is a labor of love, but it is well worth it. So again, we're gonna cover this up one last time, 30 minutes, and then we'll come back. Okay, so here we are at our 4th stretch and fold. Again, we're gonna wet our hand. We're gonna stretch. We're gonna be a little more gentle this time. We don't wanna pop any of our bubbles. Okay, that was 4. I am going to drizzle some olive oil on top of this dough and turn it over. So we can see that we're getting some pretty big bubbles forming. And yes, believe it or not, we are going to set this aside for about 20 minutes. And while we do that, we're gonna cover that up. While we let that sit, we are gonna go ahead and prepare our toppings. So we're gonna have rosemary. I have some fresh rosemary here. We're gonna put that in a dish. And I like to add, again, I'm gonna put the recipe down in the description box because this is where I might vary from time to time from the recipe. You can't mess it up. Pick your favorite toppings and just add them. I like to do this ahead of time because I want these herbs and spices to kind of marinate in the olive oil. Let me chop this up. So I have about, I don't know, maybe a tablespoon of fresh rosemary. I have a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. I'm gonna add some fresh black pepper. And then I'm just gonna fill this with some olive oil. I am gonna use a lot of olive oil because I want a little bit of this left over for dipping after the bread is done. Usually I would put some thinly sliced fresh garlic in here, but I actually just planted out all of my garlic for next year's garden harvest, so I don't have any garlic right now. So we'll mix that up and we're gonna let this marinate so those spices can soften up and flavor that oil. I also have some Parmesan cheese that I'm gonna use to sprinkle on top of the bread when we put it in our pan. So we're gonna let this marinate. We're gonna wait about 20 minutes, let this bread rise a little bit in this bowl, and then we will put it in our pan. Okay, so our dough has sat Now we're ready to put it in the pan. And I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we have to put it in the pan and let it rest for another hour. Listen, I said it was a labor of love, but it is worth the effort. Just a little trick with the pan. So this is a 9 by 13, I think, maybe a 8 by 12. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna line this pan with some parchment paper just to make it easier to get out and to put it on the cooling rack. A little trick is to ball up your parchment paper so that it will stay flat in the pan. I'm going to oil this really well. Focaccia loves oil, so don't think this is too much oil because it's not. All right, so we are going to get this dough into this. We're gonna cover this with some more oil. You want to be sure to, even though you're using the parchment paper, you still want to oil the parchment paper because you can see it kind of wants to stick. But then you're going to stretch your dough into the pan. If the dough wants to fight you, all you have to do is just let it sit for about 5 minutes and it will relax, and then you can stretch it into the corners of the pan. If it still doesn't reach the corners, don't worry about it, because as it rises, it will fill this pan. But look at all of those gorgeous bubbles in there. You might want to have the urge to pop them, but do not pop the bubbles. Okay, you guys, we're gonna let this sit for 1 more hour, and then we'll be ready to have some fun making all the dimples. Okay, we'll see you back here in an hour. All right, you guys, here we are. So it has doubled in size, and this is the fun part. So what you're gonna do is oil your fingers, and we're gonna dimple the bread. And you can see all of those wonderful little bubbles popping up there. And that is exactly what we want, because when we top this, then we're gonna put our beautiful, delicious toppings in all of those little dimples and crevices. I've added the Parmesan cheese to our olive oil and our seasonings that we have here. And we're just gonna sprinkle this all over. And we're gonna save some of this for dipping after the bread is done. And it is so good. I don't know if I mentioned before that I like to put thinly sliced fresh garlic in here, but I've already planted out my garlic for next year's garden. So I don't have any garlic today in the house, but this is gonna be delicious. Okay, I'm gonna go put this in a preheated 450-degree oven, and we're gonna bake this for 20 to 22 minutes. Okay, let's go get our bread. Look how delicious. Look how bubbly and crispy it looks. And this is where the parchment paper comes in very handy. Let's see if I can I slide this all here? Yep. You guys know me, I'm all about presentation. So when it comes out, if you can just brush it with a little of that oil so that it's kind of shiny and glistening, it just adds something to the presentation here. This looks delicious. And then I have a little bit of Parmesan cheese, which adds just a little bit of saltiness to that crust, and just a little bit of sea salt. We'll just add just a little bit so that crust has just the right amount of saltiness. It's savory. Look at those bubbles. This bread is beautiful. We have waited as long as we could. It has been 10 minutes. We're gonna cut this bread. Did you hear that? Okay. Oh my goodness, look how good that looks. Oh, that is beautiful. Look how airy and pillowy. Oh, so good. And look at that. Do you see it? So good. Crispy on the outside, soft in the middle. You've got all of this deliciousness on the outside. Oh, so good. I can't wait to taste it. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. You get that saltiness on the crust and all of those flavors. The rosemary is really coming through and it's so soft. You gotta try this recipe. 5 simple ingredients: flour, water, salt, yeast, and olive oil. And you can have a delicious loaf of bread today. You don't have to wait overnight. You can, but you don't have to. But look, just look how delicious that is. So good. I can't wait for you to try it. If you try it, tag me. Let me know what you think. Okay, so we're gonna sit down. We're gonna enjoy our bread. Bread baking is a labor of love, but it is so worth it. If you haven't ever made focaccia, this is a fun one to start with. 5 simple ingredients and you could have a beautiful loaf of bread just like this one. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments. If you have a suggestion for a different type of bread you'd like to see me make, let me know what that is. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. I would love for you to join our family, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.